Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here, this is your host, and we are continuing on our series, Prophetic Chronicles, where we discuss the lives of the prophets, beginning from Adam alayhi salam and his creation, all the way to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we are continuing on our journey through the life of Musa alayhi salam, the descendant of the children of Israel, of Yaqub, Israel, who's also a descendant from Ishaq, who's also a son of Ibrahim. So we are continuing on the story of Ibrahim and his legacy. You can almost say this is part of his legacy. So Allah has just saved the children of Israel from Fir'aun. We covered in detail the da'wah that was given to Fir'aun and the rejection that Fir'aun displayed. After seeing clear and manifest signs, his arrogance overcome him. And because of this arrogance, Allah caused the thing that he was boasting run below his feet to be above him and to drown him in himself. So this is a sign for all of us that no matter how big you think you are, Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater than all of us. Allah is one who decides what happens in reality, and it's upon us to humble ourselves in order that we may gain closeness to Allah and to His religion, and that we hopefully will be, if we are tested, our test is easy, and if we succeed, our reward is paradise. So now we have the children of Israel. Let's establish the scene here. These are the descendants of Yaqub, and they are in the thousands. There are loads and loads and loads of them. Families, wife, children, men, they're all there. And they've all just left Egypt. All of them, and I mean all of them, only know Egypt. They've only known and lived in Egypt. And you could say, although they were oppressed in the land of Egypt, it at least was what they knew. And it's very important for us to understand when trying to understand people, their motivations, their actions, specifically when it comes to giving da'wah. If you want to give da'wah to someone, invite them to Islam. We have to understand who are these people, what's their background, and how that background will affect their actions and their behavior, and that's what they're saying. So they've just left bondage, they just left slavery, just left being in Egypt, and now they're in the wilderness. So at some point, someone's going to say, well, how are we going to survive? At least in a city, we had food, water, and shelter. Now we don't have food, or water, or shelter. A bit difficult. So what Allah gave them was exactly that. Allah gave them, you could say, shelter, and Allah gave them food from Allah. So Allah gave them al-manna wa salwa. Basically, they gave what's called manna from the heavens, and gave them salwa, which is like a bird, like a quail. I think it's like a quail, where basically they were able to eat from this man, from this salwa, on demand. And this was food provided for them from Allah. And also they were given shade, as in like clouds, shaded them from the elements, the heat of the desert, you could say, or heat from the area. So in both elements, although they were taken from Egypt, from what they knew, they at least were in a state of being helped and aided by Allah, still in a miraculous manner. If you think about it, they're still doing so in a miraculous manner, because this is a miracle to have manna wa salwa. But yet they had complaints. They said, oh Musa, how can we have patience just eating two types of food? We want some other types of food. Maybe we want some lentils and some cucumbers and some onions and whatever the earth gives us, so on and so forth. We want some other food to eat. SubhanAllah. Allah has given them special food from the heavens, but they want the food that's just grown, the easy herbs and stuff that's grown on the land. But if you analyze the why did they ask for this? Although they were getting better, they asked what is less. Even Allah said that do you want to replace that which is better with that which is worse? Because that was what they were used to. In Egypt, that's what they were used to. And they were calling for, you could almost say, nostalgia or what they used to. Although they were given better, they're calling back to what you used to. And that essentially is kind of connected to why many people find it difficult to accept Islam when they are called to invite to Islam, because Islam is different. It's not what they're used to. Hence why they say things like, are you calling us away from the religion of our forefathers? That's almost indirectly saying, are you calling us away from the religion I'm used to? But it's not about what you're used to. The truth is the truth, even if you were not born in that truth. We need to understand and recognize that the truth is something that one should follow and observe and adopt, even if it is against our will. And then Allah also told Musa, in order to help them get drink, to hit a rock. And from this rock, 12 springs came from this rock, allowing each one of the tribes to drink from this spring, indicating to them that they can, number one, they got drink of water, and this was not just a rock in the mountain space, this was actually a rock they used to carry around with them, and from that rock came water. And that was another one of the miracles given to the children of Israel. Also, this was the beginning of their hal. There's all these signs that there needs to be some work done with these people. As life continued, there was even an event where Allah raised a mountain over them and promised and said to them and commanded them to make a covenant with Allah to follow the religion of Islam, the religion of Allah's given them. Otherwise, they'll be crushed. And they accepted this covenant from Allah. Anyway, there was a point here where Musa was called to meet Allah. And he was called for 30 days. So Musa obviously informed them, I'm going to meet with Allah. I'm going to be gone for 30 days. Now, as you said, Allah has all things planned. And the plan here was to tell Musa 30 days, so he could tell the people 30 days, and Musa went to meet Allah for those 30 days. And during that time, Musa asked Allah, can I see you? Because at this stage, Musa had only heard Allah and spoken to Allah, and this is why Musa is called Kalimullah, the one who Allah spoke to directly. So I guess you can say that all other prophets who don't have this attribute have received revelation from Allah, but it wasn't as direct as Musa did. So Allah told Musa that basically he won't be able to do so, but he will reveal himself to the mountain, and if the mountain remains as it is and survives the event, you could say, then you will see me. And when Allah revealed himself to the mountain disintegrated into dust, and Musa fell down unconscious. He was unable to see Allah. So, but in this event of this 40 days, Allah extended it another 10 days. So if you look carefully, this extension was told to Musa. The people of Israel were unaware of this extra 10 days. So they're expecting him to come back in 30 days, but when 30 days was up, he didn't come back. So during that time, one of them, called Samiri, decided to do something. So he encouraged them to bring their jewelry and so on and so forth, and he did so. And he took some dust that he grabbed from one of the angels during the event of the splitting of the ocean, and he threw it on to this figure that he had fashioned. What did he fashion? He fashioned a calf, a baby cow, a calf. And it was said that there was like a hole in the calf, that when wind blew through one side, came on the other side, it made a moo sound. Ooh. What was he doing? He was making an idol. So he called the people to shirk. Again, why would you do that? What will cause you to do that? Think about it. The children of Israel just came from Egypt, a place of shirk. So no doubt, there's some influence there. There's some nostalgia there. Just like they're calling for onions and garlic and cucumbers and lentils, which is what they had before. Now he's bringing over idolatry, shirk. So we can see here that the problem here with Bani Israel is deeper than it looks. They were born and raised in an environment that wasn't conducive, wasn't in line with Islam. And that these were the signs of this manifesting itself. Harun said, don't do this. Stop, what are you doing? This is not correct. Obviously, because he's a Nabi. And they said, we're not going to stop in servitude to this idol until Musa comes back to us. Indicating that they were waiting for Musa to come back, and maybe they thought he wasn't going to come back. So they returned back to shirk. So Allah gave Musa commandments, Allah gave Musa the Torah, Allah gave Musa revelation in the form of stone tablets. And he returned back to find, Allah informed him of what's happening, he turned back and found that his people had returned to shirk. So first thing he did was ask, what's going on? Somebody, it became clear that somebody was one who was behind it. And he said, yeah, this is what I decided to do. And he mentioned that he took this dust and this is what he did. And he was quite open with what he has called people to. He was decreed to be punished. The punishment for Samari was that he would not be touched by any human being for the rest of his life. So you could almost say he was like in an open prison. As in, he won't be able to interact with mankind ever again. That was his particular punishment. And then Musa turned to Harun. Harun, what's going on? I left you in charge of these people and I've only been gone for 40 days. How did you go from here, this to this? And Harun told him, Yabna Ummi, oh son of my mum, has been trying to appeal to him. This is not my fault. I did try, but I feared, and we see. I'm guessing from the use of the word fear. I feared that I will cause a splitting amongst the children of Israel, meaning that if he persisted and was more stern, because he did try to stop them, but if he was more stern, they will cause division amongst the people of Israel. So he made dua to Allah to forgive himself, Musa, and his brother Harun. You can see here that subhanAllah, Musa took on that responsibility, took on that event on himself, and he asked Allah to forgive him, although he wasn't even there. But we see here that he felt that he was responsible for the nation of Israel. Then Allah ordered that those who were engaged in the worship of idols to be executed. And the order was that those who didn't engage in the shirk would kill those who did engage in it. So we can see here that there was a sickness in the community, and that sickness had to be weeded out, had to be removed. And it was said that some of the children of Israel were, how can I kill them? They were like my uncles, my aunties, my wife, they were close relatives. So what happened? A cloud came down to obscure who it was, so they could execute Allah's command without being held back from emotional attachment. And this was the beginning of the purification and correction of Bani Israel, because all this stuff was signs of what happened before. Then Allah took 70 people, 70 of the leaders of the people, to go towards the mountain where he met Allah, to go ask Allah for forgiveness. And it was said that when they got towards there was a pillar of fire, and Musa, it was said that Musa entered into this pillar of fire whilst they were obviously around. And obviously this was when Musa was engaging with Allah. And when he came out, they said to him, show us Allah, let us see Allah. And when they said that, at that moment came lightning strike and killed them all for being so obstinate and demanding such a thing. Because clearly they're not in that authority or in that position to be asking such a thing, and that was the case. But Musa asked Allah to forgive them, because what happened was, the reason why they were punished is because during the time of the ijl, of the calf, although Harun rebuked them, they didn't. Harun told them to stop it, but they didn't say anything. So that was said by the ulama, that's the reason why they were destroyed. But then Allah caused them to come back to life as a sign. So rather than giving them what they asked for, to see Allah, they got to see each one being resurrected by the other. So one person was resurrected, another one was resurrected, and so on and so forth. And they each saw each other being resurrected. Then later on, after that, which in a later event, there was something that happened amongst children of Israel, whereby one person was killed, and they didn't know who was one who did the murder. So Musa instructed them or Allah instructed Musa to tell them, sacrifice a cow. That was it. That was the instruction. Sacrifice a cow. And the idea was to use the cow to hit the person who was dead, and they will come alive, tell them who did it, and then it will go back to being dead again. So they said, what kind of cow? And it was said, Musa found out, got the information from him, said, just not one that's too old, not one that's too young, one's in between, just not a balanced medium kind of cow. The next question came, what color is it? So Musa came back, said, Allah said, a yellow one, bright in color. Just do what you're told to do. That was what he said. Do what you were told to do. But then they came back again. I said, but all the cows look the same. What kind of cow is it? And then he said to them, okay, do a cow that doesn't farm the land, doesn't irrigate the land, is not have any ailments or don't have any blemishes. And then they said, Al-ana ji'ta bil-haqq. Now you've come with the truth. And then they did it, and they almost never found a cow to do it, indicating that the reason what they were asking wasn't actually to find out, it was actually a bit of rejection. So we see here that there was problems amongst the children of Israel. There were almost inherent corruptive characteristics at that time from being amongst the Egyptians, not being in an environment of Al-Islam. And you can see here that Musa had a big challenge ahead of him in order to cultivate and teach them Al-Islam. Remember, Yusuf was there, the generations came up after that, and between Yusuf and Musa, it is not known that there was ever a prophet amongst them. So whatever they had was what was passed down generation to generation, and obviously as time has passed on, they had become weaker. But nonetheless, it's important to understand that the lesson you can draw from this is that when it comes to correcting the ummah, correcting people, sometimes these corrections are generational. It's not that you just say one thing and then they're corrected. It's something that it takes time and it takes generation after generation in order to correct people, to bring them back to Al-Islam. And we see here that there was an inherent rejection and maybe you can even call it arrogance from some of the individuals of Israel. It can't be said for all of them, no doubt, because there were many of them who were believers, but there were some amongst them who had this, after seeing all the things that they had seen. They saw the miracles that was shown to Fir'aun. They showed the punishment was sent to the people of Egypt. They saw the part in the Red Sea, the men in the salwa from the heavens, the cloud that came from the heavens to cover them, the water from the rock, even the cow. All these things were shown to them to bring them as clear evidence of Allah, but yet some of them still were obstinate. Nonetheless, inshallah, we'll continue our story with Musa alayhi salam and his people in our next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.